Stop right there. This is Edward Stevens from the Stevens Group, and today I'm going to talk to you, buyers of homes or potential buyers of homes, about buyer consultations and why buyer consultations are important. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand about buyer consultations, which in essence is meeting with a buyer's agent and talking about your needs, is you need to understand that buyer consultations save you. They save you time, they provide clarity, and they also reduce the stress that you're going to see in a deal. Most of the time, people are not comfortable because they don't understand something about purchasing. So you might be out there thinking, well, I'm interested in a home, but I don't know exactly what I want, or when I need to move, and things haven't really gelled in your mind, and there's not a lot of concrete evidence and facts that you can go on to make a decision. So that is really what the job of your agent is. It is to go on what I call a fact-finding mission. It's a fact-finding consultation. You have a consultation with your buyer's agent. Your buyer's agent should be an excellent communicator and investigator. They need to be able to drill down and understand exactly what your needs are and what you're looking for, and do it in a smooth way so that they can actually uncover what your real motivations are and your real needs are, which sometimes differ from what you may think they are, at least initially. Now, here's what I mean by that. Done the wrong way, a consultation can be very basic and not helpful at all to getting you into the home of your dreams. I've heard of some agents that start their consultations with, so how many bedrooms do you want? What's your budget? How many bathrooms do you want? How many car garage do you want? What city do you want to live in? See, those are the kinds of questions that are not helpful to you, because the internet can do that for you. You can go to any real estate search engine, you can go to Zillow, you can go to any of those websites, and you can type the information in that you're telling your agent. Your agent's job is not to be a search engine for you. That would actually be way easier and more time efficient for you to just bypass that agent and go directly to the internet, because the internet can work instantly. And your agent's taking time, he's writing it down, he's taking your time in the form of a meeting. So that is not really the job of your agent. It's to ask questions that are meaningful, that the internet cannot ask, because it doesn't have a brain, right? So one of the rules that I try to lead with in my consultations is that you can find answers yourself. You can find good answers. You can use the internet, you can ask friends and family, and you can read books and things for yourself. But you need someone to help you find meaningful questions. Meaningful questions are much more difficult to find than answers. So consultation's primary job is to do that. So having an agent that can provide this consultation, and we're going to get into it in a second. I'm going to tell you exactly the questions that I ask during a consultation to make sure that it's just as efficient as possible for your time. Now, as I've said before, buyer's agents are primarily detectives in the beginning. They're going to ask you questions, and the first one that I like to ask, so key. It's so key, and yet so many people don't do it. So many people don't do it, and so many agents don't ask it, and also, which is more sad, many buyers don't really dig down and find out the real reason why. Why? Why are you considering moving? Now, it's important for an agent to know that, because I mean, let's think about it from an agent's perspective. We all know that agents are paid at the time of closing. What happens if you show somebody a home or several homes over the course of weeks, and then they figure out 3, 4, 5 weeks into it that they really don't need to move? They don't have the motivation to move after all. Well, as an agent, I can tell you that that would not be a good situation, because you just wasted your time. You could have spent that time as an agent going out and finding somebody else to help who had a legitimate need for your assistance. But you as a buyer, you don't necessarily care. Your primary concern isn't really about us as buyer's agents. It's about you. And you need to have that conversation with your agent to figure out whether your intentions are pure, whether your intentions for moving are good. I'm going to adjust the camera here for a second so you can, there we go. Perfect. So you can try to figure out and ask yourself, do I really need to move? Do I really need to buy? Maybe I just need to rent, right? Have you considered renting? Have you considered moving in with somebody else? May not be the perfect situation for you. You might not want to do that, but do you have a need to move? Okay, some good reasons to move. A lot of reasons people use for moving are having a child. So if you're having a child, you might need another bedroom. You might have outgrown your other home. You might be getting married and you need to move your spouse in, and so you've outgrown your 1-bedroom or studio apartment. There may have been a death in the family. You may have lost a spouse or a significant other, and you want to move because you don't need the room or you don't want to live there. A lot of times, people who are empty nesters, people who have got teenagers that went away to college, they've got a lot of extra room and they don't want to be paying utility bills and property taxes on a property that they're not fully utilizing. So there are a lot of different reasons. One more would be if you, let's say, got a job in a different part of town or in a different city, and for occupational purposes, you need to move closer to that job. So those are the reasons why a lot of people move. Think about what yours is. Think about whether or not, it fits the bill of moving, as opposed to maybe renovating. If you live in a home right now where you own it and you're not having to ask a landlord to do this, you might choose to just do a renovation. Have you considered a renovation? That's the sort of thing your agent needs to be asking you, because you don't want to get to the point where you've got this constant lingering uncertainty. Okay, it's all about certainty. It's all about building certainty. For an agent, it's about building certainty in the mind of a client. And certainly that's what I try to do when I'm working with you guys as buyers. And I don't want my buyers to be uncertain about whether or not they're making the right decision by even moving, such a fundamental thing. Next, and this is also fundamental, guys, who's going to be living in the home? That includes pets. Who is going to be living in this home? If you're getting married, you and your spouse are going to be living there. And if you've got 2 dogs, you're going to have maybe have your dogs there. And are you going to have kids? Are you planning to have kids in a year or maybe 2 years? Okay, those are the sorts of questions that need to be asked, and they need to be answered during the consultation. Now, it makes it more personal for me as an agent to ask you, so who's going to be living in the home? Rather than ask you how many bedrooms you need. Now, if you tell me it's you, your husband, and your 2 teenage boys, I can probably guess that you're going to need at the bare minimum 3 bedrooms. I don't need to ask you that. And it also gives me an opportunity to find out something about your family that if I ask the question, how many bedrooms do you require, I would not have found out that you had a spouse and you had 2 teenage boys. It's a more personal relationship that I'm building. See, I can build a relationship with you that Zillow cannot build with you, because you're going to be able to relate to me, right? So, and at the end of the day, That's what we're trying to do. We're not only trying to help you, I'm not only trying to help you, but I'm also trying to build a relationship with you. I want to know also when. Okay, so we want to know when are you going to move? When do you need to move? Some people are in, I'm going to give you that so you can look at it again there. Some people have a lease in place because they're living in an apartment and they feel like, they gotta, for whatever reason, they gotta stay in that lease until it runs out. Or maybe they're on a month to month and they can move anytime. If you've got a job that's starting, you may need to be in a certain area by the first of the year or by the beginning of the month or the end of the month so your job can start. And if let's say you're expecting a child, then you might want to be moved in prior to getting far enough along in the term that it's difficult physically to move. So those are the kinds of questions that need to be asked on the when side, because that's going to determine, number one, it's going to determine how serious we are about moving right now and how much motivation you need to receive from your agent in order to constantly be out looking at homes so that I, as your agent, can stay on top of you and make sure that we're communicating. Somebody who says, yeah, I don't necessarily need to move for 18 months. You probably don't need to hear from me every day. But if you come to me and you say, we need this home, we need a home in the next 45 days because our lease is running out and we don't want to renew it, well, then you should be hearing from me very, very frequently. So it helps in the communication process with us too. Now, here's something that that isn't really part of the consultation process, but it is a question that is asked by me on such a frequent basis that I wanted to include it here. And it has to do with when we go out and we look at homes. And a lot of people, when they're showing homes with their buyers, a lot of agents ask questions like, what do you think of the inside? Do you like the home? What do you like about the house? What do you not like about the house? Do you want to make an offer on the house? That sort of thing. I always like to ask this question when we're in the home, or maybe when we're pulling up to the home. How do you feel? How do you feel about this home? How do you feel about this home? How do you feel about the property? I think that people can answer a question, how do you feel, a lot more easily than they can answer a question, what do you like, what do you not like? When you ask somebody what they like and what they don't like, it's not only difficult because it's an analytical thing. It makes a person really think and they wonder, well, maybe they're just trying to generate an answer and it's not even really the right answer, but they're just trying to give you something, because if they said, I don't know what I like and don't like, they think it might actually frustrate their agent or something. People are always going to, if I've got rapport with you, if we know each other and we like each other and we trust each other, you're going to let me know how you feel. So I can tell everything I need to know about what to do as your agent by asking you that question. How do you feel? If I come into the home with you and we're sitting there and I say, how do you feel? And you say, I love this home. I love it. I know what to do. I don't need to ask you if you want to write an offer on the property. I don't need to ask you what you like about the property. If you tell me that your feeling is that you love this property, I know that we need to get you this property. And likewise, if we pull up to a property and I say, how do you feel? How do you actually feel about the property? How do you feel about this? And you say, I don't like it. I got a bad vibe. I got a bad vibe about the neighborhood. I got a bad vibe about the curb appeal. Looks run down, or it's just not for me. We may choose to not even go inside. And sometimes we do that with clients like, hey, if you don't like this property, let's jet. Let's go check out the next one. Let's see if you like it. I'm sure you're going to like it a lot better. So I always like to dial into people's feelings because they're more honest and they don't have to be thought of in such a way that, it's just uncomfortable for you as a buyer. A lot of the questions that I ask them in such a way so that I'm not misled as your consultant. I've heard stories from other agents about how, I showed this person, an agent telling me this, and I do laugh sometimes, but not to them, but I mean behind closed doors, I do laugh because it's just bad. Like an agent will go out and show homes to a family for month after month after month, and the family hates this and they hate that and they like this and they don't like that, and they're so picky. And this agent is just running frantically all over town constantly and searching day and night to try to find the exact home. And then they find the exact home and they show it to them, the one that they said they liked all this stuff about it. And so they go out and they find that exact thing and they show it to the client. Client doesn't like it. And then like 2 weeks later they buy some other home off, and it doesn't match any of their criteria at all that they gave to the agent. Whose fault is that? I've heard that story. I've heard that story at least, I've been working since the time I've worked at my brokerage, I have heard that story probably at least 5 times. That's just me hearing it, being told that. Whose fault is that? Is that your fault as a buyer? I don't think so. I think it's mine. It's ours as the agent. Because if we weren't able to ask you the questions that needed to be answered to find you exactly what you wanted, we failed. And so that's why the questions that I ask them in a very specific way. If I ask you how many bedrooms you want, and you said 3, then, you might actually change your mind, and we might actually be ruling out other homes that you actually love. So that's why the consultation is so important. So the other thing that I like to go through, and these are kind of in order of importance, but here's another one. And this was probably more obvious. What traits do you need your home to have? Which traits do you want your home to have? And by the time we've gotten this far in the conversation, I probably know 80% of what I need to know to get the initial search started. But you might want things like, hey, I'm an avid golfer, I want to live on a golf course. Or, I can't stand a garage that faces on the front of the house. I need side entry on the garage. Or you might say, you know what, I've always loved a brick style home, and it's not a necessity, because I do try to separate what the necessities are from what the wants are. So your needs versus your wants, we have those as 2 separate discussions. But you might say, hey, I really like a brick home. I was raised in a brick home, and boy, it would be great if I just got a brick ranch home, that sort of thing. So we do have an opportunity to jot those things down during your consultation. And again, this is the consultation that we go through. It's an abbreviated one, and obviously we spend more time on it when it would be you and me together on it. But these are the sorts of questions that you are going to be able to encounter and answer when we're together. And this is one of the final ones. It's not the final one. We won't go into an exhaustive list of all questions that I ask, but these are the main ones. This one wraps up kind of the main ones. When? Oh, I should say when. I said when, I meant where. So where do you want or need to live? So some people are very specific about, they need to be, and let's ask it this way. Is there a certain elementary school, middle school, or high school that your kids would like to remain in so they can be around their friends and their cohorts that they've grown up with? Are we trying to stay within those school boundaries so that they're not separated from their friends? Maybe we need to live close to your elderly parents because your parents are they're getting older and you don't want to be too far away in case they need you. You need to be within 15 minutes driving time. Okay, that's good to know too. Maybe you work downtown. Maybe you work downtown and you want to be at least at the most maybe a 15-minute or 20-minute commute from downtown. And by the way, there's a really good tool that you can use on the internet that actually is it's a way for you to chart. And as an agent, that's what I do. If we try to talk about commute times, there is actually a tool that I will use, and I use it it's a tool on the internet, so we can say, from downtown, say downtown Kansas City, show me what's within a 15-minute drive time of that. Or let's say you work at Shawnee Mission Medical. So let's say that you work at Olathe Medical, and you need to be there, and you need to be able to drive there, and you have to be 15 minutes within that. So I have a tool that I can use that says 15 minutes around this area. How far away can we be? And it's not a complete perfect circle because highways will get you further than, say, outer roads. So it's not a complete circle. It's like a polygon. And that's what I do to try to also judge where you need to be. So things like being close to your family, maybe being close to your friends. If you want to be close to your friends, you spend a lot of time with your friends, you don't want to be too far away from them. People's schools, your children's schools. I don't know what your situation is. You may think that you need to be in a particular city because you have responsibilities as a public servant there, like as a firefighter, a police officer, or a city councilman or somebody, and you have to live within the boundaries of that city in order to be eligible to work at your job. Maybe you need to live in one state, like you live in Missouri versus Kansas for parental rights for a child, or because of a divorce, or whatever it is. Those are the kinds of questions that we need to be asking during the where do you want to live? Where do you need to live? Now, I'm going to go ahead and sum up everything that we just talked about right now into this. When you meet an agent for the first time, you should plan to sit with them and have a consultation. It's usually, for me, about 45 minutes. That consultation is going to save you time. It's going to save you energy. It's going to give you a more stress-free experience, a more enjoyable experience, and it's going to give you clarity about what you're going to be looking for. Now, I want to go ahead and drop this. This is a new 24-hour message. We're going to upload these once a week, and this is, I drop a weekly tip on here every Monday. So starting tomorrow, this will go up, which is a couple hours from now because I'm recording it on Sunday evening. And you can call that number 24/7. You can call that number and it will have a pre-recorded message on there. You can call it day or night. And I drop a little 60-second tip that you can use if you're buying or selling a home. I kind of alternate, so sometimes it's going to be buying and sometimes it's going to be selling. I'll update it every Monday. So this video ran a little bit long, but if you have any questions, go ahead and drop me a message, or you can give me a shout at 816-217-8608. It's Edward Stevens from the Stevens Group at Reese Nichols. Hope this video wasn't too long. Hope it was informative. And the next time you're looking to buy your home, I want you to go ahead and contact me so we can do this consultation and have a good experience for you when you're buying. And until then, I will see you at the closing table. Have a good one.